Hello, my name is Emma Upton, and I'm here to spill the tea on being anxiety-free. Free? Really, Emma? Yes, but please don't mishear me, because I do not take this lightly. I've got an analytical brain that's dedicated to overthinking and overachieving. It's so incessant that it paralysed me, quite literally. The paralysis meant it was time for me to get super serious about healing, but the East and the West traditions boggled my brain even more, if that's actually possible. Then I found a way to approach anxiety like nothing else, and I didn't get better. I became free. And this freedom means that I get to be who I'm here to be. And I now have a normal tribe of the best human beings who are dedicated to doing the same. My world is filled with coaches, creatives, and generally just a different kind of person who wants to be free in this weirdly wonderful world we all find ourselves in. So come join me as I spill all the tea, as together we become next levels of free on our journey to learning who it is that we're here to be, having the most fun. It's like eating cake and drinking the most delicious cup of tea. Cheers.
Hello and welcome to episode 9. I have just finished my tea, but she's here with me. The title of this episode is called The Journey to Here is the Journey to There. And let me elaborate on what that means. That for me, that means how I've got to here, even though the steps aren't going to be exactly the same, they're not going to mirror, because we're going to have to do tangible things differently, aren't we? That's not the point. But the point is, what has navigated us to the space that we're at right now, that's a reflection on the steps that we take. That got me here. And here is such a blubbing good place. I am so happy with here. What has got me to here is the fact that I spent 30 years trapped in here. And before I started this business, before I started to even recognize or realize that this teaching other people how to navigate life in a really different way so they get to be free and be the person they're here to be, before I recognized that that was a business model, I had dedicated myself to figuring out that listening to this isn't working for me. So I had that foundation at the beginning of all of this. When I started this work, I just went for it because I'd spent 30 years trying to fit in. I spent 30 years really caring what other people thought about me. I spent 30 years trying to get it perfect, terrified of failure, terrified of what other people were going to think of me if I failed. Like, what does that mean about me as a person? If I try something, it doesn't go great the first time. I'd spent 30 years doing that, and it literally paralyzed me. I wasn't going to do that anymore. That was before this business though. So I kind of got that realization out the way of being crippled by that way of living for 30 years. So when I started to do this work, I transformed my life in ways that I didn't think were accessible to anyone, especially not me. So I went into this business just being like, I don't care. Like, I'm free. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not weighted and rooted to this existence that didn't serve me, that actually looked really good on the outside and helped everybody else out, but it was rubbish for me. I'm not weighted in that anymore. Cool. So I just went at it. I was like, this feels like a good idea. Why not? And so I'd share vulnerably. I would share awkwardly. I would have ideas for things and not truly, we never get to see the end of something. We get to know the picture of it right now, and it's a question of you gonna or not. That was enough for me. I'd spent 30 years trying to plan out the end goal and work towards that and navigate it so nothing went wrong at any eventuality. It was horrible. So I was past that. So whatever I was in that moment, if I had a spark of an idea, I was like, let's go. If I had this notion of I meant to step towards this, and I don't really know why, but it's an idea and I feel like it's going to build into, I'd do it. That's what built this. It was my willingness. I've just been watching a really emotional video. That's why I've got mascara. It was my willingness to just throw myself in and learn along the way. And course correct when I got it wrong, because we're inevitably going to get it wrong. But the thing is, not that I didn't care. We don't want to get things wrong. We don't want to feel like we're wasting time. We don't want to feel like we're letting people down. But as long as we check in with our intent, like, did we mean for that whoopsie to happen? Did we what? No. Can we correct it? Yes. Let's course correct and let's keep going and keep moving. because I was so diligent to that, because I was like, I'm not wasting another moment of my existence. I wasted far too many, and I can't sit around mourning all of that I wasted. But what I can do is I can navigate from a different point right now, and that's what I'm going to choose to do. So I've moved forward every time I've got a whisper or a hint of an idea, like, this is what you're being called to, this is what's next for you, this, and I can feel my brain, like I'm still a human, my conscious brain is still loud, and it's going, but you want to know the outcome. You want to know what you're working to, you want to know if it's worth it, you want to know, like, I still have that, I just know how to not listen to it anymore. And when that comes up, I can awaken my inner power louder than that voice, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. So today is the perfect example. Today is episode 9 of this podcast, and one of my clients, the most glorious being, sent me a podcast book, Starting Your Podcast from the Ground Up, I think it's called. I haven't got it here with me right now, but he sent me this he's amazing, he's over in America, and I've started to read it. And as I'm going through it, I'm getting ideas of helpful things that I could do. And one of the ideas that I read last night was about having music at the beginning, having an intro, having music, something that reminds us why we're here and why we're in this space and co-creating together. I was like, oh, that's cool. I am not a director of music. I do not know what I'm doing with this podcast. It's brand new. What the conscious brain wants us to do is research the podcast, understand how to do it, get all of our ducks in a row, get it all planned out, know where it's going, and then go. And what I am doing, because I lived my life 30 years like that, what I am actively doing in this business is being like, this feels really aligned, it feels good. Do I know what I'm doing? No. Does my brain really want me to know what I'm doing? Yes. Am I going to listen to that? No. I'm going to awaken the inner power in it, and I'm going to do it anyway. So today, maybe it'll be on this video, maybe it won't, but I have gone away and I've researched jingles and I've researched music. Me and the boys have spent the morning listening to music, being like, this one, not this one, this one. And so I found a song that I'm in love with. So I've recorded a little something and I've popped some bits together. It's so basic. I'm going to look back. This is the beauty though. This is what I can do. I can laugh about myself. I'm going to look back at this intro to my podcast in 6 months time, a year's time, 2 years time, 3 years time, and laugh my socks off, being like, that is so basic, it's embarrassing. But you know what? I don't care, because that's the only way that we get to be better at anything. We show up basic, but we know that it's basic and that it's not the end of the 10-year plan. In 10 years time, I'm going to look back at this and be like, oh, wow. It's probably going to be cropping up in my life and haunting me in some way. I don't care. It's how we get to learn and grow. So this is my invitation to you listening here on Spotify or on the YouTube podcast or here on Instagram. And More Than This by Emma Upton, wherever you find me, this is what I want you to take away today. What is something that you know you are feeling called to doing, but your conscious brain is being loud and saying, we don't get to until, we don't get to because, we don't get to but. What's that? Now that might be life related, it might be business related. It doesn't matter where it is. But what it is doing, it's very much getting in the way of you moving forward in the direction that you're here to. So we all want to be at the end of the 10-year plan. I would love to be an executive producer of a podcast and have all the gear externally, internally, and be able to create something when I listen to other podcasts. I'm like, oh my goodness, to be able to do that right out the gates, like that would be great. That would allow me to collapse time. It would be fabulous. But I don't want to expend the time, money, and energy right now in learning that skill. My energy is being spent in other places, and that's perfect. But I do want to, on the side, get better at this. So every night I'm reading about it. Every day I'm showing up and doing this podcast. And I'm going to slowly over time put the pieces together. So yes, the 10-year end product would be a dream right now. But the reason that my business is growing so quickly is because I'm willing to do this. I am willing to take teeny tiny, relentless, incremental steps every single day to allow it to build. Even though I still have a conscious brain that's going, that's rubbish. It's going to take so long. You said your podcast sounds so rubbish compared to everybody else's. And I'm like, yes, I know, because I am on day 9 of it. And that's the point. It is meant to watch brain, how it builds, how it grows, how it transforms into everything it's meant to be. It is going to teach me things along this road that I'm going to be able to take with me in my little backpack on my journey through all of this, allowing me to know myself even deeper, to know who I am, what I'm here to do, so that my work gets to flow through. That's what I'm dedicated to, and throwing myself into these awkward situations where I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning along the way. And I'm course correcting, and I'm taking the lessons, and I'm leaving the weight of it all. That's what allows us to step into who we really are and what we're here to do. So if you can feel yourself wanting to show up as the 10-year version of you in whatever it is when you're actually the day 1 or the year 1, I feel you. It means you have a human brain, and that's perfect because you're human. We're meant to. But go take a step today. And the best thing we can do when we're taking that step, the biggest part is watching what our brain is saying and how it just wants us to give in. There they are, Francis, Toad and Bob. How those guys up there just want to say, throw in the towel, give up, let's just go back to existing. And notice it and be like, but I'm here for more. I want to know who I am. I want to know what I'm here to do. I want it all to flow through me. I don't want this relentless battle with my own brain. I want to create something different. I want to create something more, and then go do it, and then go learn along the way, and then go course correct, and then have the time of your life laughing at your humanness. Like, this is wild. What an experience. There is more than this, and it is our job to go out there and get it and seek it and find it. It will not come and bite us on the bum. And the best way we can do that is teeny tiny incremental steps relentlessly. That's where the magic lives, in the lessons in between all of that. So be on the lookout on YouTube or on Spotify. Let's spill the tea on being anxiety free. There might be a jingle. There might not. This might be a complete letdown. Let's see. Happy Surrender Sunday.